Okay, so let me show you a quick briefing on using 3D Studio Max. The first time I used 3D Studio Max or Maya, I almost lose my mind. I said there you had to have 4 brains to to understand all this software. But rest assured that the more you practice with it, starting with small steps, the more you practice, the more comfortable you will be with the software. Okay, it's very important that if you have never seen the software before, try to go through the lessons the links that I posted from Pluralsight or Digital Tutors. They take you to very good steps on achieving the same tasks that you're going to be doing in the classroom, so they will be very helpful, and it's to your advantage to go over those and as many as you can. For this exercise, let me show you first how to create a simple scene, okay? And we'll go over a few of the tools, and I'll explain to you what I'm doing at the same time. First of all, when you start the software, you're greeted by the viewports, right? Viewports are pretty much cameras on the scene. Think about it, you're working within the film and gaming industry, right? In 3D animation. So you will have some kind of cinematic thing happening, so you will have to have cameras, right? Where you place your scene, and then that way you can move from camera to camera. So you have your top view over here. That's, imagine a camera right in the ceiling looking down. That's what your top view does, kind of looking down on the scene. The left camera does the same. You know, imagine a camera right there by the wall on the left side of the screen looking at the scene, and one on the front. That's where we will normally be, on the front of the scene, watching everything like on a theater setting. And then you have the perspective view, which is pretty much a three-dimensional view. If you notice all these, you cannot really see depth on front, top, or left. You only see height and width, okay, on these. But on perspective, you get height and width and also depth. So this is the one that we're going to be using the most at the time. So let's start by creating a floor. So that way we have a base on where to build. You have your create, geometry, standard primitives, and if anything changes, just change it here. And excuse me, plane. So I'm going to create a plane that is the size of the grid. The grid can be modified. This is not this is the standard grid, the default, but you can modify to make those squares represent any units that you would like. Okay, but for this exercise, let's use the default. The bigger you go, the more memory it will take. So be aware of that. And when you create something, you know, you might want to keep it affordable to your computer's memory. Let's put it that way. I had one student in a previous session who went a real world scale, and his computer could not handle it, and it kept crashing. So we want to keep that realistically in the classroom as well. So we have our plane. It's yellow, so that's the color that is showing over here, right? So I just clicked and drag it all the way and release the mouse over there. Let me do it again. So click over here, drag the mouse, and release. Okay, that's now it changed to another one. It kind of goes over cycling through colors, but you can assign any color you want. To do that, you can go here to the Modify tab, and this is your plane. I'm going to change it to floor, so rename it and press enter, so that way you know what it is later. And then you can change the color here by clicking on the swatch. Let's say that I want a more green color, okay? And then say okay, and that's how you change it, okay? Now comes the fun part. First of all, let's go to the orbit sub-object icon. Here is the second to last on the bottom. Okay, when you do that on the perspective view, make sure you're there, because if you do it on any of these, it will skew the perspective and you might need to fix it, okay? So if you by accident do it here in the front view and it changes like something strange like this, you see how skewed the grid is right now? It automatically changes to orthographic, letting you know that you modified the default. So to restore it to the, what was it, front viewport that it was there, just click here in the name of the viewport and go front, okay? And that restores it back. Just make sure that you go back to the perspective viewport, and then you do that. I use the shortcut a lot, Control R, so that way I have it memorized already because I use it very often. You can also middle mouse to kind of move the scene out. What you're doing is moving the camera up, okay, up and down. So next, let me show you how to maximize. Go to that very last icon on the very bottom right. That's the one to maximize the viewport and minimize. So whichever viewport you have selected, that's the option that you're going to go, okay? The maximize viewport toggle. Let's create another plane, and I'm going to make a wall, and I'm just going to make one wall here, one wall here. We don't really need to make a wall here unless you want to. So let's just make, oh, sorry about that. Go back to our standard primitives plane, and let's go over here. I'm using the top view. Go to the top view over there, the viewport, and you can there pretty much select where you want to stop the wall that you're creating. And now you can take a look at the rotation tool. Okay, so here are your basic tools. Move is going to allow you to move an item over space. Okay, let me move that wall. You have the rotation tool that allows you to rotate. Okay, and then you have the scale tool that allows you to pretty much scale in one direction or in all directions. Okay, if you click on the center, you do it in all directions, so make it proportional. Or if you just want to make something shorter, you can do that. Okay, let's do it that way. Move it and put the wall somewhere here. Well, now I have to scale it again. Okay, that's no problem. Excuse me. Now I'm going to rotate, so I'm going to get that rotation tool, and notice that the tool in the perspective viewport changes to a little sphere. Always use this the world axis over here as reference. You have your y-axis, z, and x-axis. Remember the coordinates from your algebra classes? This is where they come very handy. So I'm going to grab that y-axis to make that wall, excuse me, just the green one, that one here, that's the one that gets highlighted in yellow. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to rotate it so that in my top view there on the left, it becomes a little line. That is going to tell me that it's completely straight. There you go. So now we have it there, but if we rotate on the perspective view, it's not in place. You see, it needs to be touching this side over here. So I'm going to move with the move tool over here, move it to the side until it intersects. Okay, and I'm using these as reference to know where, right there is my grid, so I put it somewhere there. And then I'm going to use, because this is a little tricky here, I'm going to use the front viewport here, and I'm using the middle mouse there, and move that to the side. Okay, I don't want a gap, so I will come back to the perspective viewport and middle mouse on the perspective viewport so that I don't lose my selection. That's important to remember. So middle mouse so that you don't click everywhere. And don't worry if it disappears. It's a display matter, but you're not going to have the camera over there anyway. So we have that over there. You can zoom in and out by using the wheel on your mouse. Okay. And what I'm going to do next is create another plane. But let me show you how to duplicate it so that they have the same color. So let's go edit, clone with your plane selected, your wall selected. Let's make a copy, okay, and say okay. And now you say, well, where is it? It's right there. You see, now you have two walls. So now what I want to do is rotate that wall. So let's go to the rotate tool and put it over here on the other side. So now I'm going to grab this axis, the blue one there, to rotate in that direction. You see, now it's getting there, and I'm using once again the other viewports as reference to know when to stop. Okay, And then I'm going to go back to the move tool and grab that y-axis just to push it back, okay? Just make sure you grab that axis. So it's going to take a little practice. Sometimes you might move it in the middle, so that just undo. Control Z is the universal for undo. Okay, so let me maximize with the perspective viewport selected. You see it's highlighted in yellow. I'm going to maximize. And that's the base of our scene. You have established, you know, the very base of your scene already. You do not want the edges to show. You know, you want to move the camera as close as you can to make sure that you don't see anything, you know, that shouldn't be seen. You see, we get the illusion of a corner of a room. Now we just simply start populating it. Okay, so we can put boxes. That's what we do in blocking. So click and drag up. This could be, I don't know, a little table. We can make a box that is flat. Okay, so click and drag and just raise it up a little bit, and that could be, let's say, a picture on the wall. That might be a good idea. So move tool, move it up, rotate, right? Rotate it to put it horizontal. So if you see the values over there, as you rotate it, you can also use that as a reference. So I'm going to go back to the move tool, push it back until it's sitting on that wall, sitting nicely. There you go. So that gives me, you know, a nice effect of a picture on the wall. Let's say we have a trash can, you know, we can make a cylinder and move it up, you know. Oh, that's too big. So, well, we have the scale tool that we can scale it down, make it smaller, or maybe it's too short, you can make it taller. Oh, wait, I want to make it one of those that have the lid. Oh, great. So this is what you need to do then. With that selected, go again to clone, make a copy, say okay. Sorry, that's my alarm clock. And then go to the move tool and just get that guy out of there, right? That's gonna be the lid. So we're gonna scale it down, you know, and then maybe in all axis make it a little bit bigger and scale it to make it thinner, and that's already giving the impression or the illusion of some kind of even a stool. You can make it like a little stool, right? So you just continue doing this kind of thing, you know, putting items on your scene. Get acquainted with these. You know, the best way to do it is just by playing with them. You have the extended primitives as well that have interesting other stuff, like chamfer box. Could be a great mattress. You know, if you're making a mattress, you click and drag and then get it, you know, about that height, and then you click again and then you move left and right to chamfer more or less. You know, you got your Tempur-Pedic mattress created there, okay? And then, you know, make sure it's not floating on the air, which is important, right? I think we did it right. You could clone it again. Remember, we could clone it and make a copy and move it up. And I'm not renaming anything, that's my bad. And that way you make, you know, the box spring and the mattress, okay? So if you wanted to say, let's say, but I wanted to I want to have a frame, a bed frame, you could clone again, right? I mean a base. So let's go edit clone. Let's we're not renaming this, bed frame, and say okay, and let's move it, right? Because it's right there. Did we do it on the bottom one? Or did we not do it at all? Okay, let's grab the bottom one. I'm gonna make the bed frame, okay? The one at the bottom. So edit, clone, copy, and let's say bed base, and say okay. And what I'm gonna do to that, let me show you then something new. Let me move it away, okay? And I'm going to just scale it a little bit bigger, just a little bit, because I want it to show through there, okay? And a little shorter so that it's kind of holding the thing in place. And what I'm going to do is going to go to the Modify tab, and on the segments, just go there, make it higher, and let's make the fillets to 0 to make it very sharp. Okay, so let's, instead of make this higher, let's make the fillets to 0, and now you have a bed frame. You see, now everything is looking like it's sitting on it. You see, you kind of position it in place, and you have a bed frame with, you know, the mattress and everything else on it. So this is a way to get started. I just wanted to give you the, you know, a brief overview. The videos in the classroom, the lessons from Pluralsight, go in depth in many other techniques that I want you to look at. So please take the moment to look at them. On the Modify tab also, you can change the color of each object. So let's say you don't like that box over there to be green, so you go on the Modify tab, this one here that looks like a quarter of a donut, and kind of click there and pick another color and say okay. You see? And to save your file, just go File, Save As, and save it with the name that you recognize. And to render, that's the other thing you need to do for the assignment. Just go Rendering, Render, and there is your render. You just save that over here. Just save to. Save it as a JPEG. So same right here, you change it to JPEG, name it, and that's the one that you're going to save to the classroom. Okay? So I hope this helps, and please remember to go over the lessons from Digital Tutors. I go more in depth, so it will be beneficial for you to learn more tools and different ideas. Okay? So